Casper and Dennis here with Submission Radio, brought to you by Musashi after UFC 229, a crazy time, and we're here with Brett Okamoto of ESPN to join us. Brett, I mean, describe the feeling in the room right now, because we had an amazing event with some amazing fights, and then afterwards, possibly one of the sort of darkest, most confusing periods as well in the sport.
The mood in the room, huh? I think when you have the MMA journalists together, even though this was a unique situation and different, we're almost used to these types of things happening. And I think that's what kind of my takeaway is from this. I was just working on my column, what's going to be my takeaway on this. And it's, I don't think this is a bad night for mixed martial arts, quite frankly. I think it feels like it immediately because you're like, oh man, look at this event that happened that marred what really took place. But now we have great footage for a rematch someday. Everyone is out there talking about what had happened. So I actually think in a weird way it's a net positive for the sport. But then you just ask yourself, why can't it ever just be about the sport? Why can't it just be about the great fights that we saw tonight? Like, it has to come with this drama. And that to me, I guess, is a little disappointing as someone who really loves this sport.
It's funny how you mentioned that now we've got great footage, because this fight and the promo was around some great footage, and now we've got more footage. This is the new bus incident.
Right.
It's a crazy situation. What do you think about the fact that this is sort of supposed to be Khabib's night? It was his crowning moment. Not only did he beat Conor McGregor, he destroyed Conor McGregor. He made good on his promise, and he became he was already the undisputed champion, but there were some questions surrounding that title reign. He beat the previous champion, and now it sort of ends like this. How do you think that affects him?
I guess it doesn't affect him too much because he was the one who brought it on himself by doing what he did. I think maybe someday when he looks back on it, he'll think, oh, maybe I should have done it differently. But these guys are fighters, man, and Khabib, he did take a lot of what Conor said serious. He took it personally. He was still angry. He did tell us at the press conference that there was not going to be any handshaking after this, that the beef wasn't going to be settled, and I think he just did what came naturally in the moment. I don't think there was nothing about that Khabib was saying, all right, now I'm going to start promoting the rematch right now by going off and doing this. That was just his legitimate response in there. So, hey, it was his night, and so I guess he could celebrate however he wants, and he chose to celebrate by jumping into Conor's corner and trying to fight them all.
Yeah. So explain to us now what happens, because you obviously spoke to Dana White afterwards. You did a fantastic interview, but what we're looking at is what kind of punishments will be coming out of this. A lot of people are wondering, will he potentially be stripped of the title? What kind of implications are going to come down on this? What are you expecting to happen here? Because Dana White didn't really give us much of an answer. It doesn't really look like he'll be losing the title anytime soon.
I got to be honest, I don't think he's going to face much. I don't. I think he's going to face a good fine because he got paid a lot of money for this fight. So if you get fined 10% of $2 million, what's that? That's a good chunk of change, right? So I think he'll get a fine from the commission. I think he'll get community service because that's what they like to do. But this commission has sort of changed over the years. They used to, you never really knew what you were going to get. You went in there and sometimes they had just a vendetta against somebody and it was a crapshoot. But now I think that they're halfway more reasonable. They're more consistent. They're going to look at this and say, hey, there were no serious injuries. He jumped into a corner and started throwing punches. We're going to suspend his license for 6. I don't even know. I don't even want to put a time frame on it, but I think at the end of the day, when this is over, we're all going to say, oh, Khabib got away pretty easy. Besides that fine is going to sting probably.
I think it's interesting the way it sort of furthers this rivalry and comparing it to the Nate Diaz fights, where there was so much trash talk, and it did get personal for a lot of it, but it never really spilled over. It stayed in the cage. And then in this situation, Khabib sort of citing his religion as the reason why it spilt over, and personally, I don't really buy it. I think like Luke Thomas said earlier, there is such thing as freedom of speech, and you can say these things without. I don't think people can justify violence based on standing up for their religion. But based on what you said before, do you think we see a rematch? I mean, the fact that there probably isn't going to be much punishment, and the rematch is going to be undoubtedly huge. Do you think that's what is next?
Yeah, I do. I mean, because the fight itself, like you said earlier, that Khabib dominated him. I wouldn't say that he dominated him. I think that the finish itself was dominant. And I definitely think when he stunned him with the right hand in the second round, that was shocking to see. But I didn't see a fight in which, because there were some of us, I think all of us knew that there was at least a possibility that, man, they're going to go in and Conor's just going to have no chance against his wrestling. This isn't even going to be close. There's a chance of that. And that wasn't the case. Conor was competitive in this fight. He had chances to win. So I think competitively speaking, it was an intriguing fight. Had none of this happened after the bout, I think there'd still be a lot of interest to see them do it again. So yes, I absolutely expect a rematch. And as we all know about Conor, when he lost to Nate, what did he want to do? He wanted to turn around and fight him again immediately, and I think he'll probably have a similar sentiment to that.
Were you a little bit surprised that he didn't come and do the post-fight press conference? We did hear that Team McGregor got out of there pretty quickly, which I guess is somewhat understandable given the intensity of the situation. But I guess with the Nate Diaz fight, it was a big loss in the UFC, and everybody commended him for showing up to the press conference. What do you think about the reason for him sort of not showing up tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Conor's talking less and less to the media, right? So it kind of fits into just that general trend of him not coming and talking. And he did lose, so even though I don't think he's ever going to be a sore loser, because we, like you said, we saw how he handled his loss to Nate Diaz. So I don't look at this as a sore loser type thing. But of course, you're more apt to come to a press conference when you win, and you can talk about a win. I just don't think he wanted to come in and answer a bunch of questions about what had happened after the fight. And it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out and has some kind of statement, or he does one interview. He's just not super media friendly anymore. He's very, very, he's protective of his time, and I think he probably just wanted to leave, and that's as simple as that. He wanted to get out of here.
Well, it's early in the morning, so we'll let you go. But as we let you go, answer me this question: Conor McGregor, his stock. How much do you think it dropped today after this? Do you think it was a big drop? Do you think it's just what happened after the first Nate Diaz fight? Would you compare it to that? How do you see it?
I look at it as his stock doesn't go down at all, but now it's, I don't even know if thin ice is the word, but it puts more stock in his next fight. Because when these guys, they're dominant, or, they've been winning a whole lot, a bunch in a row or whatever, and then they lose, star like Conor McGregor, he's not going to lose all of his stardom, and not even a little bit, I don't think. I mean, his next pay-per-view, whoever it's against, will sell a ton. But if he turns around and then loses again, if he loses to the same guy twice, whether it's Khabib, whether it's Nate in a trilogy fight, some type of loss, then I think his stock will drop a little bit. But I mean, you're talking about Conor's stock is here and everybody else is here. How is it going to fall down right here? It's still going to be 10 times bigger than anybody else. So,
well, there you guys go. Check out Brett's amazing work on ESPN, The Column, coming out soon, and we appreciate your time early in the morning here at UFC 229. What a crazy morning it's been.